Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. Get yourself comfortable and prepare for some interesting stories. One of them is a story about an OP's friend's terrible secret, which OP told to friend's BF, so watch what happens next. Please subscribe if you haven't and I hope you'll enjoy it. A couple years ago, a close friend, Ashley, started a long-distance relationship with a guy, Chris. He has been really good to her, and after meeting in person a few times, they decided to move in together. I was super happy for her as she had a few bad relationships over the years, and it was nice to see her in a healthy one. That joy faded the last couple months, before she moved a few states over to be with him. The issue isn't her moving, but that she repeatedly joked about having a baby from Chris. At first, I accepted it as jokes, but over time I realized Ashley was serious. For context, Ashley has 2 children from a previous relationship, ages 10 and 12. Chris absolutely doesn't want kids. He told her this at the start, and anytime she hinted possibly wanting more, he shot it down, saying it was a deal breaker. Now, Chris is more than willing to accept her children as her own, because he loves her and after meeting her kids, them as well. He's accepted that they are a package deal with her, and since they are at an age where they are semi-independent, it's not an issue for him. To me, Chris is a real bro for taking on her kids without issue. Hearing Ashley say she wants a baby out of him, one way or another, bothered me to no end. It's hard enough to find a partner that treats you well and accepts children that aren't their own. To find one that does and then talk about plotting to force a baby seems gross and manipulative. Before her move, I had sat down with Ashley, trying to talk sense into her. At first she resisted, but finally it seemed she understood how crappy it would be. After I felt like she had understood, I put the issue behind me and helped support her through the hassle of moving. A few days after she left, I got a call from a mutual friend who delves into the Wiccan metaphysical realm. She was distraught and confessed to me that shortly before Ashley's move, Ashley had come to her asking for a fertility spell. This friend didn't feel comfortable about it and refused. When pushed, she said she cast a spell for a healthy and honest relationship, but told Ashley it was for fertility. As you can imagine, I was livid. I messaged Ashley, confronting her about what I learned, and she laughed it off as she was desperate, but magic is fake anyway, so what's the harm? She then let it slip that since Chris was planning on getting a vasectomy in a few months, she had poked holes in their rubbers as a last-ditch effort. At that point, I couldn't stay silent. I gathered up screenshots of all the conversations over the last few months and sent them to Chris. He understandably freaked out and kicked her out. Now, Ashley hates me because she was kicked out after a huge move and didn't have a job or money to make it back. She said I'm a terrible person for putting her and her kids out on the street. Am I the idiot here? Should I have kept quiet? Not the idiot. You didn't get her kicked out, she did with her deceitful and potentially very harmful behavior. This is worse than cheating on someone in my opinion. Can you imagine if it were the other way around and he were the one poking holes in rubbers? People would drag him through the mud, and pretty sure it's illegal to do in many places. Choosing to be a parent or not is incredibly personal and should never, ever be a coerced decision. Considering how awful and disrespectful she is to someone she was supposed to be in love with, I don't think you're losing out on much of a friend here. You're a hero in my eyes. There's no way you can be an idiot. Your friend literally is trying to force a baby out of Chris. That is just disgusting and unfair to him. I'm sorry your friend is suffering right now, but she did it to herself. You already tried talking to her numerous times. Still, those delusions remain unchanged. She should have been honest 100% instead of trying to deceive him. Reading this just makes me wonder how her other kids got here. Sorry if telling him potentially messes up a good friendship, but you did the right thing. I know you feel like a jerk for going behind your friend's back, but morally you did the right thing no doubt. That poor dude was about to be trapped with a lying manipulative woman and you saved him. He should be thanking you till the cows come home, literally. Thanks so much for doing this. As a man I am so grateful to hear that there are women out there who will watch a good bro's back and won't let him get tricked into having a kid when he doesn't want one. My husband and I are best friends during the day. Love of my life. It's at night that's an issue. I'm a blanket stealer. I once yanked them so hard poor hubby flipped a full 180. Hubby, for his part, is a thrasher. Bruce Lee would be jealous of the moves he pulls off while unconscious. It's a constant war between us when we fall asleep, and both of us often wake up sore and exhausted. It was starting to affect our relationship. Neither of us wanted to move to a separate bed because we like spending our nights together, but it seemed like an inevitability. We were both crabby every morning, and we started fighting as soon as we got up. It was terrible, but neither of us wanted to concede defeat and move to the other bed. Quick background, I was a huge nerd as a teenager. Full on otaku, go ahead, cringe, I do too. One night as a joke, I brought down an old anime body pillow from the attic, I know, the cringe, and plopped it down between my husband and I, declaring it our demilitarized zone. Hubby also thought it was hilarious, and we named her DMZ-chan. She stayed there the whole night. It was a game changer. DMZ-chan protected me from hubby's REM-induced rampages, and she's just heavy enough that I can't yank the blankets at full speed. DMZ-chan is now a beloved part of our nightly routine. We both thought it was the funniest thing, but she legitimately helped us solve the only real issue in our marriage. One day, MIL stopped by to pick something up. She got up to use the restroom, passing by our open bedroom door. You can guess what she saw. DMZ-chan, propped up in the middle of our bed, her giant soulful anime eyes looking right back at MIL. When she got back, she quickly grabbed her stuff and left, hubby and I both confused. She later mentioned DMZ-chan to hubby while they were on the phone, and it absolutely mortified him. As far as I know, MIL now thinks we're deviants in a three-way relationship with a body pillow. Hubby was too embarrassed to explain, and now he wants to put DMZ-chan back in the attic. I was upset. I told him I didn't want to go back to boxing each other at night and that DMZ-chan helped us so much in that. He agreed, but suggested we get a normal plain body pillowcase to replace her. I felt like there was no need to spend money on something we already have, and if it really was that big of an issue, we can put her in the closet while we have company over. Hubby is firm in that she has to go permanently. I know he's embarrassed, but I feel we shouldn't have to compromise our inside jokes to appease other people. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Is it really that bad to get a different pillowcase? You could even put it over the DMZ-chan one if you want, so you have an inside joke. Basically the question here is about how much you care about your husband's feelings. What he wants doesn't hurt you, but you know that he is hurt right now. How much do you think he's going to continue to enjoy your inside joke if you dig your heels in over this? You admitted it yourself. The thought of having an anime body pillow is cringe-inducing. Your husband seemed fine with the arrangement when you two were the only ones who knew about it. Now that it's no longer the case, a pillowcase seems like a reasonable solution. Doesn't matter who found out about the body pillow. Could have been one of your friends or a sibling, and he might still be embarrassed knowing someone else knows about the body pillow. Sorry you are the idiot, but this one's easy enough to rectify. No idiots here. I kind of understand his perspective. Maybe after his mom confronted him about the pillow and her suspicions of how it was being used, he couldn't look at the anime character on it without getting uncomfortable. I know body pillows can be expensive, but if this fight over what's on the pillow has gotten bad enough that you feel like you need outside advice, then maybe it would be worth it to just get the plain pillow. If it were me, I wouldn't pick this hill to die on. If a body pillow is all it takes for you guys to get a good sleep and be happy, and it doesn't matter what's on the pillow, I would just throw out the old one and get a new one. I'll give some backstory first. My 18F mother, 50F, is extremely clingy. I have no idea why, but she's always done this. I've always been the most independent out of all of my siblings, and therefore she is always trying to be in my business. I understand that she is my mother and I love that she cares about me, but there are times when I must draw the line. At my last job, she would demand I text her whenever I get to work and whenever I leave, which was extremely doable. However, sometimes I'd arrive a bit later than I wanted and would have to immediately begin to work. I wouldn't be able to text her, and she would flip out every time, calling my phone 20-30 times and calling my siblings and father asking where I was. She began to call my work phone, which was extremely embarrassing for me because sometimes my boss would answer. Once when I was driving to work, my phone wasn't plugged into my Bluetooth, and so I couldn't text or answer calls. She then called my boss's personal phone number, which I still have no clue how she got, and asked him about me. I was furious and told her if she'd just been patient for 5 minutes I would have answered, and she didn't get it. I'm always a perfect child and do everything she says, never get into any trouble, so I don't know what the obsession is about. The worst thing she did was call my boss's personal phone during the pandemic and tell him I couldn't come in because it was dangerous. I had to find out about this by getting my weekly schedule and thinking I was fired because I had no shifts. I had to learn from my boss, who was super nice about it, why I was off the schedule because my mom hadn't told me. It was the most embarrassing moment I've ever felt, and she didn't understand why I was pissed at her for it. With my new job, I've tried to set boundaries. I told her my job has her emergency contact and that I would text her when I arrived and left. She asked for my boss's name and the store address, which is fine, and then asked for his personal. I gave her a fake number. I told my sister about this, and she told me I was being petty and wrong, but I don't think she understands what it's like to have none of your privacy respected. My mother even begged that she drive me to work on my first day while she waited in the car as if I'm a child. Her behavior is making me hate being around her, as well as refrain from telling her anything about my personal life. So am I the idiot for giving my mom a fake number so she doesn't embarrass me at work? Not the idiot, you're 18. Talk to your boss ASAP. Let them know you have a boundary-stomping mother and to please disregard anything she says does. Maybe even offer her number to the boss so they can pre-block her number from their phone and the work phone. Sit down with your mom and explain that her actions are going to get you fired at worst and turn you into a laughingstock at best, and she needs to cut it out before she forces you to cut her out. I am a mom, 53, and none of this is okay. I think your mom needs therapy, and you need to start gathering your valuable information, birth certificate, social security card, passport, and anything you really cherish, and see if you can store it at brother's or dad's house. And get your money saved to get your own place. You might have to go no contact if she can't accept this. The mom should support and celebrate your independence and success. She is sabotaging it and is concerned about herself, not you. This is selfish and bad for you. I hate to diagnose people over the internet, but I'm pretty sure your mom has an anxiety disorder. The problem with her and you trying to soothe her anxiety by always knowing exactly where you are is that nothing you do for it will ever be enough, because it's not even really about her desire to have access to you. The anxiety is the core part, and her attempts to have access control you are strategies she is coming up with to make her anxiety feel better. Sadly, it's really hard to convince someone, especially a person who believes they are doing it out of love for you, that their strategies are counterproductive. Me and two other guys share an apartment together and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone's in charge of buying their own food and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on almost a year and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, R, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing, they have my name written on it, or my stuff finishes too quick. My gallon of milk, for example. I buy almond milk because I like the taste. But it seems to finish after a week, even though I've only drank once or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times, and that's caused a lot of arguments. He outright denies it and tells me I'm crazy, even though it's so obvious. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work the same early morning shifts around the same area, so I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home and R's already left for work that I notice my food's gone. My roommates also had a similar problem, but not as often as I do. I'm guessing cause R doesn't like what he buys. The funny thing is R buys a lot for himself and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point out what's his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tells us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought. This was to prove R is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of my milk. He was using it to make a shake. I only responded with, "So then you're the one who's been stealing?" He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he'd just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge, or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. My roommate backed me up and thought it was kinda funny he got payback for stealing from us. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me R is trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know we're both looking to move somewhere else together cause we are sick of his crap. I told some buddies what happened and a few think I was an idiot for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me an idiot? Not the idiot. I read a story from a scam manager where something similar occurred. OP liked spicy food and food thief ate it, then reported OP to HR for trying to poison him. Eventually OP got fired after HR agreed with the food thief. OP got a lawyer, and story came out that HR and a food thief were in a relationship. Company owner fired both offenders and hired OP back with increased pay. Dude is an idiot for stealing your food, and I would have done the same thing. I think it's perfectly called for. And I would tell him that you will continue doing it. Sometimes do it, sometimes don't. And that if you do have almond milk, regular milk has been mixed in it, don't do it, pretty sure that might be nasty, although you can always test a theory. And that you are putting milk, cheese and or butter in everything you cook, again, don't have to. Hopefully, that keeps his mitts off your goods. After all, they are yours, and he had no business stealing. If you steal food, can you really be upset that you got sick from it? That's the most entitled thing I've ever heard. If someone was stealing my stuff, I'd be doing a lot more than that as revenge. Those friends who think you were an idiot wouldn't be so happy if it was their food and money being stolen. You have done nothing wrong, you bought your own food to be kept in whatever container you please. At the end of the day, your flatmate stole from you, they are the ones in the wrong, and don't let anyone else make you think differently. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about an OP's eldest daughter who decided to send my elderly cat to a shelter over fear she would harm her baby when the child is born, so OP kicked her out. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.